My name is Cephas Jones, and I'm reading the role of Earl. Earl is an older man who is a father who is estranged from his son. He hasn't seen his son in many, many years. And he's in a pool room shooting pool, when after so many years, his son walks in and he's confronted with the issue of having to deal with him right in front of him.
Hello, my name is Jovan Adepo. I'm playing Eddie Green, and he's a young man who, for all intents and purposes, could have fallen into his own, pity party, and he could have continued or just gone down a dark path because of the absence of his father. But up until now, he's done fairly well in his young adulthood, but I think he feels that he's transitioning into a major moment in his life moving forward, and he is afraid to do that without completing an unfinished chapter in his life, which would be reconnecting with his father.
My wife Val and we had our first baby, Tembi. She was about 6 months old. I was looking at her, and I started thinking about what would happen if this is the last time I see her until she's like 21 or 22 years old. How would I explain not being there for her and not having her there with me? And what kind of conversation would that be? And it sort of started from there.
It's about fathers who've made their mistakes, and their mistakes walk in one day and confront them. And what this play does is it puts a mirror up to the father. It puts a mirror up to who he was, who he will become once again if he's not careful. And as much as the title says the past is the past, the past is the past. Mm. But there's something about the future that rings very strongly in this play.
I think the most important thing about the past is that you don't live there.
Yeah.
You don't base your existence on the past. You use the past as a means of understanding the present and possibly building a bridge toward the future. But you don't live in the past.
The writing is so beautiful. It's the same way with Eugene O'Neill or August Wilson or Tennessee Williams comes to mind as well. They deal with the human condition, and human feelings and family dynamics are the same from century to century.
Whenever you get an opportunity to, Ron mentioned this earlier in our conversation, to venture into the human experience in such a real way, in a deep and delicate way, that's where the quality of work is. And that's something that I've been trying to diligently look for in between whenever I'm doing films or television or whatever it is. I think to find stories that are rich like this is just a treat when you're able to find it. So I was really fortunate to be able to collaborate with these gentlemen that I look up to.
I was talking to a writer the other day, and I said, we want to see the wedge that drives people apart, but we want to also see that same wedge that finds a way of bringing them together. And Richard has found that wedge that can drive people apart, that does drive people apart, but he's also found that wedge that instigates something and brings about a coming together.
I think the ones that are really special and the ones that stand out and that do ultimately end up being timeless are the ones that have a little bit of everything, because life isn't, purely sad or purely happy or purely funny. It's just a little bit of everything, and it can go and switch up on you at any moment. So this is just a direct reflection of life as it is. And again, it was just a blessing to be able to participate in this and to get to try to keep up with it, Ron.
I don't mean to sound religious or anything. It's more of a spiritual thing. Energy, creative energy, I'll call it that brings me back around to MTC. I got my first professional equity card, and my first really professional play in New York was through the Manhattan Theater Club, through casting of Meg Simon of a Cheryl West play called Holiday Heart.
I cannot thank Lynn Meadow and Barry Grove enough for those early years when my career was beginning, and for the space and the time and the energy that they gave to me. Lynn, with her precocious little self, fresh out of kindergarten when I first met her, somehow became the child genius who headed up Manhattan Theater Club. But it was, it's been over these years, just a wonderful match. And she gave me a home in theater in New York. And it's something that I also am, just forever grateful for.